officially. Now, this is annoying. This is not because you're recording this, Helen. It's not annoying because you're recording it. It's now annoying because Zoom now has a voice, a really annoying voice that goes, "Now you're recording," and it's like, oh, shut up! I know, I pressed the flipping button, and it's very annoying. Anyway, grump out of the way, because I am over 50 now, so I'm allowed to be grumpy. It's part of the job description. My name is Michael Niles. I am your facilitator for today. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to be looking at kind of the fundamentals of content marketing. We'll have a little introduction. You can pop what you do in chat, or you can unmute and tell us who you are and where you're from in a moment. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, for those of you who haven't met me before, I am a business advisor and freelance digital marketing and leadership trainer. I worked previously with an organisation that some of you might be familiar with, Winter. I was with them for 8.5 years as a principal trainer and a business advisor. And 2019, I became freelance, and now I deliver training and webinars for organisations like Google Digital Garage, Lloyds Bank Academy, BT Work Ready Programme, and a couple of others, including the fabulous Ambition Broxbourne, who suffer me on a regular basis, bless their little cotton socks, keeps a roof over my head. What we're going to be talking about today is, like I said, is the basics of content marketing. We are going to kind of have a digital slant on it, but the fact is that content marketing is anything that goes in front of your customer's face, including you picking up the phone and saying, "Good morning, how can I help?" That is part of content marketing. It is part of the way you're trying to express the values, the beliefs, the mission of your organization. So content marketing is quite a very broad subject that everyone in an organization should have some understanding of, because when they're talking to customers, they are basically marketing things. But we're obviously going to put a slightly more kind of digital slant on the stuff today, because there is a real need for it right now. But before I get cracking, if we can have some very quick introductions. So I'm quite happy. I'm going to go around the screen here. I'm not expecting people to turn their cameras on. And I know that Jade might not be able to interact because she's got other things going on in the background at the moment. So no pressure there for you, Jade. I'll leave you out if you like. You can always pop something into the chat. But I'm going to start the top left-hand side of the screen, go around, and a quick kind of like 30-second elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, why you're great. So I'm going to start with Helen. Away you go.
Hey everybody, I'm Helen Ashby. I'm the Economic Development Officer for Broxbourne Borough Council, and we are here to help you run your business through running these kind of events and making you aware of information about supporting your business and helping you grow and survive and thrive in these tough times. So if there is anything that you're looking for that isn't out there or you're not sure of, please do come and contact me either through the chat or by email. As you've had an email from me, you've got all my contact details and phone numbers, and would be lovely to be able to support you in your business further.
All right, thank you, Helen. Jake, are you available to have a quick intro? Excellent.
Yep. So my name's Jake. I'm an Economic Development Apprentice at Broxbourne Borough Council, and I work closely with Helen. So I suppose everything that Helen just said, I guess.
That's fine. Awesome. Thank you very much, Jake. Charlie.
Yeah, I'm Charlie. I work for a SEO company, and we're looking to branch out with our content management a bit more and just sort of branching out on our social media and stuff like that. So that's why we're attending today. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Perfect. Holly.
Hiya, so I'm Holly. I work for a small asbestos analytical company in Watford. As you can imagine, asbestos is a bit of a tricky topic to try and market. So obviously just looking to hopefully get some ideas today about different ways and different content that could help to make the topic a little bit more interesting.
Perfect. And finally, Louise.
Good morning. So I'm Louise, and this is OP. I teach dog first aid to pet professionals and dog owners, and I also help organisations to raise charities, to raise funds for charities. So it was all a little bit manic there, and I'm great because I attend so many of Helen's and Miles's courses.
Well, you are someone. You are. I wouldn't describe you as a groupie, Louise, but we certainly see you on the majority of these events. Are you doing because just a shout out actually for next Wednesday, is it there is an online networking event happening via Ambition Broxbourne, which I'm currently still able to attend. I mean, I haven't got any work on that day, which, no offense, I prefer work, but yeah, it's going to be good fun. They've been very well organised and managed by Helen and kind of overseen by Bob, who is a brilliant facilitator. Really enjoyed the one that I attended last year. So that's available as well. Do check that out. This is a great way of interact with some of the local businesses around. Perfect. Thank you very much for those introductions. So why content marketing is important at the moment is, in particular, digital content marketing, is that one of the consequences of the last 15 months is that businesses have had to adapt to more online way of working. I mean, I'd never done a webinar before March the 24th last year. So, you know, that I'm a case in point. So the majority of what I do now is staring at a webcam. Rather than standing in front of people and talking, which I was doing. That was my job beforehand. Again, Louise suffered one of those as well, one of the digital garages at Enfield that I did. And we've got a far more active group of people who are familiar and comfortable with elements of digital. You know, we've got my 75-year-old mother-in-law would never use a contactless card or shop online before March last year. Now she is absolutely comfortable with a contactless card and is much more comfortable shopping online. My mum, who's 83, she is having her Italian lessons via Zoom, and it's a bit of a running joke in the family now. She only communicates with us on our WhatsApp group via emojis. It's something I pop in every single course, but my mum, and she does it quite deliberately now. The other day she said, I've had a busy day, not enough time to talk about it, and she basically put shopping trolley, cup of coffee, shopping trolley, piano, keyboard. So shopping, coffee, shopping, piano. That was her day. And she did it quite deliberately, probably to wind me up, because I get very annoyed by emojis anyway. I hate them. But we got a much more digitally active group of people who were not digitally active before, and the people who were digitally active before lockdown are even more so now. So it is absolutely critical that our businesses have a presence on digital services to make sure that we remain current. And a lot of the work that I do with Google Digital Garage, Lloyds Bank Academy, and BT, the BT Skills for Life program, is because there is something in the region of 11.7 million people in the United Kingdom who lack the basic digital skills to do the majority of the work that's out there at the moment. So we are behind. The UK is massively behind in terms of digital transformation. And you cannot say that anything good has come out of the last 15 months. But one of the consequences is that digital transformation in the UK has accelerated, which is only a good thing in terms of our ability to compete in a competitive marketplace, not just locally, but nationally and globally, if that is our ambition. So what we are going to be looking at over the next hour and 45 minutes is just to get a sense of what content marketing is, some of the things you can do to kind of create and think about content, and also some of the types of content that are absolutely crucial at the moment. So, like I said, digital marketing is something that is not the province of the marketing department of a business. They might be the overseers of it, they might be the gatekeepers, but the bottom line is that content marketing, according to, I think it's Ian Lurie. Ian Lurie is a marketeer. He said, content is anything that communicates a message to your customer. So anytime we're communicating in any way with our customer, that is a part of content marketing, or it's content we're producing. So again, that could be picking up the phone, that could be welcoming someone into a store, that could be an email you're sending. All of this has got to have at the front of its mind the impression that that's going to leave with the customer, and is it the impression that the company is interested in. So if you're serious and professional and and business to business, then all your interactions need to be like that, including picking up the phone. Whereas if you're quirky and fun and a little bit kind of that's what all your communication needs to be. It needs to be consistent, because consistency breeds trust, and trust is what gets you paid, essentially. We'll talk more about trust later on. So your digital marketing, essentially, which is what we're going to focus on mainly here, it lives or dies by the content you put on it. Bottom line is that no one goes to Facebook with Facebook. They go to Facebook because they want to see interesting stuff. They want to catch up on their friends. They want to follow their favorite celebrity. They want to support their favorite local business. And the bottom line is if the stuff we put out on these platforms isn't engaging and interesting and fun, no one's going to care, and they're going to scroll straight past us. So, you know, you could, if you want, post 150 times a day on Twitter, but if none of that isn't the least bit compelling, no one's going to care. So our content has to be built around, you know, how are we going to engage that customer? What are they getting out of the relationship? So just posting doesn't work. Okay, you need to post good quality content that adds value to your customer's day, particularly around, you know, Google and Facebook in particular are obsessed with quality content. You know, Google's algorithm is looking at so much more now about, they even have a quality score. If you're going to pay for marketing, the PPC, pay-per-click advertising on Google, they have what's called a quality score, which means they're even assessing the page that you're sending the customer to make sure that it is good quality, uses the right keywords, is structured correctly, and isn't spammy. Facebook as well has done some fundamental changes to their business pages that started in the middle of last year and finished on the 31st of March this year, where they made some additional changes and some more changes to the way timelines work. And again, this is about quality. Facebook measure how quality your content is by judging its interactions, so how many likes it gets, how many comments it gets, how many shares it gets, also judging your quality of interaction with your customer by measuring your interaction back. So if someone's is having a conversation with you and you're not having a conversation back, if someone's put a comment in on a post and you're not responding to that comment within 24 hours, Facebook's beginning to think this company doesn't care about this customer because they've waited over 24 hours to respond. Even if it's just to put thanks for your comment, they're looking for that level of interaction because it denotes good quality content. Because the better the content they show to people, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the more likely people are to be using their platform. And it's something that Facebook in particular is really doubling down on at the moment. So it's very important that your content really pops, is interesting and fun. Otherwise you can just completely disappear as far as Facebook is concerned. We're not going to dwell on any particular platform today. That would be for a social media course. But Facebook in particular at the moment is really punishing business pages who are not following their rules. And I do actually have a video, rather than talk about them now, I have a video on the 5 things that Facebook are looking for on my YouTube channel. Just let me write this down to remember to send it to you, but I'll add a link to that. Facebook things. I can't multitask. I was trying to write and talk at the same time, and I was actually writing what I was talking rather than writing what I needed to remember. Hold it a second, other things. I'll add that to the links that you can watch, just to give you a sense of what Facebook expects from your business page. If you're using Facebook to promote yourself, it's very critical we do that. Obviously, we want to choose the right platform for our customer as well. So whoever our customer is, we need to make sure we're in the right place. So for instance, don't try to sell anything to me via Instagram or TikTok. I could not give 2 hoots about either of those platforms. I have an Instagram account because I'm a social media trainer and I have to. If I didn't have to have an Instagram account, I would quite happily delete the thing. To be honest, I'd probably also get rid of my Facebook page as well. I don't like them personally. I understand their importance for certain businesses, but they don't connect with me at all. If you want to connect with me, write an article or a blog or shove it on LinkedIn. So we need to also make sure that when we create this fabulous content, we're putting it in the right place that makes it easy for our customers or potential customers to find. And we'll talk about this a bit later on, but it's targeting content to specific audience groups, which helps in so many ways, but we're gonna address that a little bit further anyway. But what I want to do, I'm going to share this slide with you. Because it's got some very interesting information on it. So this is from about 12 months ago, and this is kind of the initial interactions from the first lockdown. So before COVID-19 happened, I'll just expand my slide so I can read it. 43% of independent small businesses were active on social media every day, and it dropped in March to 5%. In March last year, national business, 68% of businesses active on social media on a daily basis. It dropped to 26%. However, let me just get the animation working. Consumers spent 2 hours and 20 minutes on social media pre-COVID-19, but that went up by 40%. the very time that you had a probably highly engaged audience using a social network more was the time a lot of businesses were backing away from it. Now, I get why they're not able to trade, they're not able to work. What is the point? Well, the point is that you need to remind these people you exist. So when you are able to start working again, they remember who you are and they come and buy from you. So this is the time when social media should have been accelerated. And even now, obviously, the final kind of, I do hate the whole concept of Freedom Day. But, you know, we got the 18th of July now, so we've got another 6 weeks or so. Still, we need to make sure people who know we exist, so when they are able to freely communicate and freely get in touch with us, we got a presence there already. Otherwise, other organizations will just seduce them away from us. So now is the time to really start doubling down as far as digital is concerned. Right, let's stop sharing that. Right, so, there we go. So what makes good content? I tell you what, in the chat, open it up, tell me what you think makes good content. See whether it's the same as my list. But yeah, what do you think makes good content? For you, what do you engage with generally when you're online? I'll get the chat box open and see who's got the fastest fingers in the West. Videos, but not too long. Yeah, we'll talk about video later on, don't you worry. It's my obsession right now and should be yours. Animated posts, interesting connection there. So we've got things that are moving, things that have some, and I'll say that is really important. And yes, I am a video fan. Visual, something relatable, something that means something to you. Absolutely, that is important. Yeah, short, informative video. I do like short video. I also do like good thumbnails for videos as well. You want something to grab the attention. Absolutely. I am quite happy. I mean, I'm on social networks. This is the interesting thing. Posts that are asking you to do an action, so you get responses. Yes, so you do want a call to action. We'll talk more about that anyway. I do like video. Video is probably the thing I consume most as far as content is concerned. I am quite happy to watch 2 to 3 hours of video. I use YouTube now like I used to use the television. I don't watch television anymore. I've got my selected, very geeky and nerdy channels that I watch because I am a geek and a nerd. My 50th birthday present to myself was a PlayStation 5. And I will quite happy to watch 1 hour to 2 hours of video, just as I'd watch a film, just as I'd watch a television program on YouTube. On a social network, I probably only have a tolerance for about 3 minutes, which is interesting because there is different mindsets on different platforms. Perfect, thank you for that. We will be, we'll be talking about video later on in particular, because video is essential currently. I mean, you cannot not, that's an awful phrase, but never mind, I think you know what I mean. You can't not, that's one, you can't not use video in your digital marketing at the moment. If you want to have any degree of reach and any degree of connection with your customers, but we'll talk about that one later anyway. Perfect, okay, so good content for me is something that is useful. It's got to be useful. I'm going to share with you my 5 pillars of great content in a moment. It's something that demonstrates the value that your product adds. People don't buy products, they buy the value that product gives them, because these days products all have to work. So, you know, there's no such thing as a bad product, because by law, if you create a product, it has to work, unless you're in the computer games industry, in which case it can be a broken mess. You can charge 70 quid for it still. But anyway, let's not get into that. For instance, and this is an example I use quite a lot, is that I could buy a watch for £10 in Tesco, quite easy. But one of the first customers I had, or clients I had when I became a business advisor, was a gentleman called Gus, who sold watches that retailed at £1.5 million. Most expensive, £300,000 least expensive. Philippe Patek watches, very gorgeous, 1,000 handmade parts, hand assembled over 12 months in clinical conditions, absolutely gorgeous. Cheapest one, 300 grand. Does the £10 watch do anything different than the £300,000 watch? Ultimately, no. They tell the time. So people are buying a £300,000 watch because it can tell the time. That's not what the purpose of buying it. What value is it adding? Well, is it exclusivity? Is it an investment? Is it bragging rights? Is it, you know, is it a collector's edition? Whatever it might be. The reason the person's buying the really expensive watch is not the same reason the person is buying the really cheap watch. And what we need to understand is, in our businesses, what value are we adding? What is the customer getting out of the relationship they have with us? Because if we tell them the value we can provide, they are more likely to engage with us, because people buy value, they don't buy products. Because all of us here have got products that are available from other organizations, other companies, that people can go to them, they can go to us. What we need to do is convince them why we are the best person to go to. And that might be to do with quality, that might be to do with cheap, that might be to do with the fact we're friendly, we're engaging. It might be that we have next day delivery if you order before 4 o'clock. All of these things are things that set us apart and differentiate us from other organizations. We need to think about the value that we provide to our customers, and that should be the basis of our content. So something that makes your customers' life easier is always good. Something they can share with others. So your content that's shareable is one of the key positive measures that social networks do. If someone hits the share button or the retweet button or the repin button, that is an indication to the platform that this is a good piece of content, because someone has said, you know what, I like this enough to share it with my friends. We'll have a little talk about social proof later on, but people will always trust things that their friends say above things that you say to them, because obviously you're going to say you're great because you want my money. But if a friend says that, I've shared this piece of content because it's really good, you might like it, immediately there is a trust by association going on there, which is part of a thing called social proof, which we'll touch on later. But critically, marketing is not about sales. Sales is part of the marketing process. No salespeople will like you telling them that, but marketing is what gets people excited enough to take action. And then your marketing has worked when you get that person who picks up the phone or pops into the shop or sends you an email and they say, tell me more. You've sparked their interest, they got something going there, and they're interested enough to want to take the next step. That's when you sell to them. So you go, brilliant, here's the products we have, these are the benefits, you match their needs and all of those good sales products. And then once the sales is finished, you kick back into the marketing to get those people as advocates or potentially buying more. So marketing is not about selling things. Marketing is about getting people interested enough to take the step to say, all right, come on now, convince me now that this is going to be the very best thing for me. That's where your sales process starts. I'm afraid sales don't happen until marketing works. Salespeople would really hate me saying that to you, but it is the truth. So we're not selling as far as marketing is concerned. We are providing value, we are providing interest. So in terms of what you should be having in your mind, I've got a structure in terms of, I'm not going to do a pop quiz because I think I use this one on a lot of courses, because everything, even search engine optimization that I did back in March, February time, is part of content marketing. Your blog is part of your content marketing. Everything is content marketing. Therefore, these kind of 5 pillars are very important. So I apologize if you heard them on previous courses, if you've attended other ones, but they are a great starting point for good content. Therefore, I'm not going to do the quiz because I know at least one person has heard these before and will cheat. So the 5 pillars of great content start with inform, educate, entertain, which is the BBC's mantra. That is their mission statement since 1927. So our content should be either informative or educational or entertaining. Entertaining does not mean funny. It could be something that is just doesn't fall into the other bits. It could be, if you've got, I did some work recently with Audi, and we're talking about their content for their showrooms. And part they were doing bios of the people who were coming in. So here's Anne, she's on reception, this is a favorite Audi car, this is what she does in the center, and this is an interesting fact about Anne. And they were popping that on their Facebook pages to kind of build a little bit of a relationship. So when someone comes into the showroom, they can go, oh, there's Anne, she likes this, that's her favorite Audi. That's a piece of entertaining content which is not really informative or educational about the product they're selling, but it's a nice way of getting people, building rapport with people and building familiarity with people who might be coming into the store. So inform, educate, entertain. Marketeers often add the word inspire on the end there as well. I use inform, educate, entertain because it's relatable to the BBC, and we all know about the BBC, and they do good stuff. Let's face it, their programming is fairly good, although apparently the recent end of Line of Duty was not the best piece of drama we've ever had. My wife was one of the disappointed many on that one. So inform, educate, entertain, or inspire. That's what we're trying to do with our content. But it does need to be tied up in a little bow of relevance. So it needs to be relevant to the person that you are presenting it to. So we're going to talk about market segmentation in a moment. So make sure it's relevant and it is adding some kind of value as well. So it's relevant to the people you're talking to and understand the value that you are adding. So if we can do that, if we can provide content that is informative, educational, or entertaining, don't have to do all three at once. That would be nightmarish. If you can, power to you, but otherwise, try to pick one of them. It's relevant and valuable. And this way, what we can do is start building that rapport, because it's not about us. It's never about us. It's always about them. And the purpose of what we do with our content, and if we follow these kind of basic rules, hopefully we engender some behaviors in our customers. And what we do is we have authority. So people see as an expert in our field, the go-to person in this particular thing. We're credible because on a regular basis, we provide useful, informative, helpful information. And then hopefully we get that lovely trust from our customers. And if people trust us, they pay us. And very interestingly, I've been just so I didn't need this. I've been using these 5 pillars of great content for about 3 or 4 years now. They're mine. Although I nicked the first 3 from the BBC, but the other bits are all mine. Google recently, they've done lots of updates to their algorithm, and they do have a system called EAT now, which is one of the ways they measure content, and it is expertise, authority, trust. So when they are measuring content at the moment, because there has been a lot of disinformation on the internet over the last few years, sadly, if you are someone like a consultant, if you're in retail, if you're in the financial sector, if you're in the kind of government political sector, they are going to be scrutinizing even more your content to make sure that you are demonstrating expertise, you are demonstrating authority, and the content that you're using is trustworthy. That is something that they are measuring at the moment, which comes back to say, if you're doing inform, educate, entertain with relevance and value, hopefully you are ticking all of those boxes that Google can be looking for in your content as well. So, any questions so far? Any thoughts? Please do ask. I don't mind. There's not many of us. You can just unmute and ask a question. So at any point a question occurs to you, don't worry, hit them, you can just hit the space bar on your device to unmute yourself and go, Michael. Now, if there were 30 of us on this call, I would not be quite so generous with that. I'd be saying pop them in the chat. But seriously, with just a few of us here, it's going to be fine. So stop me at any point, because those of you who've been on courses with me before know that I'm not going to stop talking unless you stop me talking, and until the time runs out, because I don't overrun. Overrunning is rude. It's that simple. Right, so now this is one of the most important activities you need to do as far as your marketing is concerned, and that is market segmentation. So market segmentation is understanding that your product is going to appeal to different people for different reasons, essentially. So you might have one product or a number of products, and there will be different reasons people are interested in that. And we'll go through a little exercise in a little while anyway to kind of help you identify that. So I'll give you a quick example. I was working with a Ford showroom back in 2019. I was doing I was doing a differentiation exercise with them, and I basically said, I gave them 3 different vehicles. It was a Fiesta, I think it was the Ford Galaxy, and then a supercar that they put out there as well. And I asked the people in the room to pick one of these vehicles and do a bit of segmentation for them, say what types of customer are going to be interested. And I went to the first group and I said, which one did you choose? And they said, we chose the Ford Fiesta. And I said, brilliant. So who are your segments for Fiesta? And they went, do you know what? Everyone loves the Fiesta. And I went, well, probably not actually. And they went, yeah, because young people like it for this reason. Families like it for these reasons, and old people like it for these reasons. And I went, thank you for proving my point. You've got 3 different segments here who are going to like that vehicle for 3 very different reasons. So don't you think that if you're trying to get a young person interested in a Ford Fiesta because it is, it's sporty, it's got a great infotainment system, and it's reasonably cheap to insure, you might want to have different content in different places than trying to convince someone who is in their 70s to have a car, as my mum calls her car, the one that will see me out, a slightly fatalistic view, which is unusual for my mum. because it is, you know, Ford is a recognizable brand. You know, it's easy to maintain, it's cheap to run, you know, it's reliable. And you're not going to be on TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat for your, you know, your over 70s. But at the same time, you're probably not going to be writing a 700-word blog to interest the people who are, you know, 17, 18, 19, 20, who are looking to get their first ever car. So we need to understand that sometimes our products are interesting to different groups of people, different types of people, and we have to make we have to be aware of that and create content that is going to resonate with them directly. So because if you create content for everyone, you really don't create content for anyone. So understand these differences and post accordingly. So we're going to do a little exercise around that anyway. So in terms of customer profiling, you do want to have a little understanding of who your customer is and profile. There are kind of 4 sections that, or 4 segments that marketers kind of look at. The first one, which is the kind of the big blunt tool sledgehammer of it, is your demographic stuff. Are they men? Are they women? Are they young? Are they old? Are they rich? Are they poor? Are they married? Are they single? Do they have a big semi-detached house? Do they live in a tenement building? You know, what their salaries are. Those kind of very kind of blunt edge demographic information, which is always a good start, because in many respects there are, it's not sexist to say, I remember I was at a school once, and I was doing a little business competition with them, and they had to come up with a business idea and sell it. And there was a group of young people, and I heard them whispering to each other, and one of them said, "Is it okay for us to say that this product is mainly for women?" And I went up to them and said, "Yes, absolutely is okay for you to say that, because if it's a product that predominantly is going to be women are going to engage with, then you want to promote that to the people it's going to have a big impact on." No, we do fall into these little kind of, we want to be as inclusive as we possibly can be, but at the same time, if 95% of the people who buy your stuff are women, then to be honest with you, surely you should be spending 95% of your marketing efforts to engage with them. And then 5% of your marketing efforts, which we'll indicate in a moment, to engage with other people who might be interested. So demographic is interesting, again, particularly as far as spending is concerned, because if you've got a very high-end product, you want to be promoting your products in places that, you know, have people who have the means to buy it. Whereas if it's a cheap product, obviously, then, you know, you say it's cheap, come and buy it. I mean, you look at Aldi and Lidl, they've done great guns by saying we're cheap. Whereas if you go to, you know, Waitrose, John Lewis, Marks and Spencer, which are slightly higher end brands, they're quite happy to say, look, we are more expensive, but the quality is much better. I know that is all relative, because some of the stuff you can get in Lidl and Aldi is absolutely brilliant these days. So demographic, age, gender, income, your blunt tool, okay? Geographic, which is your location. So where are they in relation to you? So for instance, Louise doing her courses, how far, and this isn't a question, this is a statement, but how far is Louise prepared to travel? If Louise is prepared to travel a maximum of 20 miles to deliver a first aid course, why would you then try to promote yourself 35, 40, 50 miles away? There's no point. Part of that geography is, you know, how far you're prepared to travel. If you've got a physical location that people come to, again, there we go. I've got a physical location. I've got a shop. How far are people prepared to travel to come to that shop? You know, is it 5 miles? Is it 10 miles? Is it 15 miles? In which case, if it's 15 miles, I am not going to be promoting people outside of that. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And again, someone like Helen and her team at Ambition Broxbourne. Obviously, I think the name, you know, the hint is in the name, but they're focusing on Broxbourne and its immediate surrounds. So again, why market? Interestingly, I don't know whether our Australian member has come to the course today, but we did actually have someone book on the course today from Australia, which is fine, because what I'm saying is relevant to people from Australia. And that is the fabulous thing about Tinternet, is that, you know, I have delivered to people, one course, I had someone from Bulgaria, someone from Sri Lanka, someone from South Africa, and someone from the Philippines. It was awesome. But again, if the funding is available in Broxbourne, if the funding is only available, do you know what? Why am I talking to people in St Albans? You know why anyway. But why am I talking to people in St Albans? Because it's not relevant. I'm not going to add any value to them, because this is where we are. So your geography, your physical geography is an important thing to consider, but also that geography might be digital as well. So if you are an organization who is using digital platforms, again, geography could be, where are my customers? Are my customers browsers? So I need good SEO for my, hey Charlie, good SEO for my website, just nudge, nudge, that kind of stuff. You know, is it having good SEO policy? Are my customers on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn? I need to be where my customers are. So first is demographic, which is your age and stuff. Next is geography. Where are they physically or digitally? So I can make sure that I'm in the same place. So they know I exist and they know they can come and talk to me. The next one is psychographic. So psychographic are activities, policies, opinions, values, for instance. And this is a good way to kind of to hack into different markets. So for instance, I've used this example before, but I'll use it again. My wife and I have very different ideas of fashion. I buy £3 t-shirts from Tesco. Essentially, I am someone who is function over form, whereas my wife is definitely form over function. So when we buy shoes, we have very different, and I buy shoes, steel toe cap boots, because they're VAT free, therefore 20% cheaper. And they cost me 20 quid and last 4 years. That's £5 a year for a pair of shoes. I'm just having to replace a pair now what I bought 4 years ago. Perfect. So I spend 20 quid maximum on trainers. My wife, who is in a similar kind of income bracket as me, will buy trainers for 90 quid. So bearing I paid 20 quid, she'll buy trainers for £90, which is outside of her normal spending for something like a pair of shoes. But 90 quid for a pair of trainers. Any ideas why? Unmute yourself and say why my wife might spend such an egregious amount of money on a pair of trainers.
She trusts the brand.
It might be, but not in this case. So it could be a brand thing. That is one thing that will get people to buy, spend more. Absolutely. I am a Sony fanboy. I try to have as much Sony stuff in my house as possible. So I'll buy stuff specifically because it's Sony. Any other thoughts? 90 quid. I think I was talking about activities, politics, opinions, and values. Sorry,
is it
Louise.
because she's a runner herself, or that she might have specific foot issues that particular brands may cater for?
It's the first of those two things. My wife's a runner. She runs half marathons, the mad woman that she is. Don't see the point personally, just get in a car, drive. But she runs, which is why she is prepared to spend a little bit more money on shoes, and she will do that every 6 months. So when we are looking at that, and that's why your demographic stuff, your age, your spending power, and all that kind of stuff is a bit of a blunt tool, because we might miss out a trick. We might have a high-end pair of trainers that we are trying to sell to people who have higher income levels, but at the same time, if those trainers are going to be good for people who are running, people who have a passion for something, you might find that actually they're prepared to spend more than they normally would to access the fact, because of their interest, because of their hobby, politics, for instance, veganism, for instance. So, if you've got a restaurant, you can make sure, hey, we've got a great vegan option for people. We can do this. We cater for vegans or people with gluten. And these are things that might get someone to come to that restaurant and spend a little bit more money than they normally would, because it caters for a value and belief or a particular need. So demographic, age, and all that kind of stuff. Geographic, where they are. Psychographic is opinions, values, hobbies, activities. The final one is behavioral, which is about events, frequency, holidays, anniversaries. So where this might be something that you can bet into is if you are a beauty therapist, for instance. In the main, beauty therapists would be targeting women. Fair enough. Blokes aren't quite as much into that as girls are, although my son takes more time getting ready to go out than my wife and my daughter combined. That's quite significant. He's 18 and he's very much in the mirror going, oh, how do I look? Doing a few of those to make sure his biceps are big. He's not a chip off the old block as far as that's concerned. This is me getting ready. Right, awesome, let's go. But I do wear nice clean clothes. I'll buy cheap ones, but they're always clean. But in the main, a woman would be the person for beauty therapy. Okay, so go and be pampered, stuff. My wife had a friend round the other day and they sat in the garden with face masks on. They offered me one and I went, how can you improve upon perfection? I said to them. They laughed and left me to it, funnily enough. Support for my wife there. I love her. But there are times of year where you might be able to get me interested in beauty therapy. So I'm thinking kind of 3 specific times of year where a beauty therapist might be able to get me to buy into what they do. Any thoughts? Three specific. The first one's in February. I'm giving you a clue.
Oh, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas. So if I'm a beauty therapist, sometimes I might think, do you know what, I'm going to dip my toe and see if I can get any blokes interested in what I do. So best way to do that in the lead up to Valentine's Day. Are you bored with getting your wife, chocolates and bottles of wine? Why not treat her to a pamper session? She'll come up feeling like $1 million and she will love you for it. And I'm likely to go, well, I do like my wife to be happy, because happy wife, happy Michael, unhappy wife, miserable Michael. So that's sometime I might be able to do it. Mother's Day is another thing. I might say a great pamper session for my mum. Christmas again for gifts. So it might not be something that you do all the time. You might not try to engage with the male population as far as your beauty therapy business is concerned consistently throughout the year, but it might be, hold it a sec, there's something coming up. That might be a time to dip a toe in and get a sense of what's going on. So this is what some of the things we have to consider, because certain times of year our products might be more appealing to others. I actually saw a post, Louise, the other day that my sister shared, because she's got a lovely little cockapoo, about treating heat stroke, having a heat stroke pack for your dogs. So, if your dog gets heat stroke, these are the symptoms of it, and this is how you can sort them out. It's things like that, which, obviously in February would be a waste of time posting, but right now is very useful. Whereas in February, you can talk about, remember, little bare paws on the frosty things. Your dog's going to get chilblains, perhaps get them some booties. The hot pavement thing. There was another one of someone putting a hand on their pavement and getting out how that's, if it's too hot for me, it's too hot for the dog. So there's things that we can do that are more around about the times of years, that are trends that are happening at that time. So having those things in mind, we can start really crafting some content that we can poke at specific groups of people. And it might be that you reach a small number of people, but you're reaching a small number of people who are interested, who you're adding value to. And it's better to reach a small number of people who care than a large number of people who don't. So that is behavioral stuff. Perfect. So right, so what I would suggest in terms of creating content, kind of a little method to do, is generally don't try to promote an entire business. It's very difficult, particularly if you've got lots of facets to what you do, because that can be quite general. Now, I'm not saying that general posts, you can't do general posts. If you want to do something that talks holistically about the whole of the business, pop it out there, that's absolutely fine. Just anticipate that it won't get as much interaction as something that's a bit more specific. So generally what I would suggest is to pick a topic or a product. So when we're going through the process of choosing and creating content, rather than something generic, pick either a specific topic, so for instance, heat stroke in dogs, or a particular product such as one of the asbestos removal thingies that you do. Holly, I'm afraid that's about as much as I know about that. But pick a product, and then what you can do, or a topic, what you do is then you list all the things that product or that topic does. So talk about, for instance, for heat stroke in dogs, recognizing it, how to treat it, long-term effects, how to prevent it, which is again obviously something. So you've got kind of 4 things you can talk about there. And again, with a system such as search engine optimization, because that's something I know a little bit more about than asbestos. It's about the EAT thing that we talked about in Google. So how do you make compelling search-friendly content? Could be a topic that you can discuss, and under that, you can talk about specificity. You can introduce people to what semantic closeness means in terms of your content. You can talk about how keywords have changed, for instance, because keywords are not used in the same way now as they were 10 years ago. So we've got these little topics. So by producing either a topic or a product and listing all the things I'd like to talk to someone about, what I've got is a list of content that I can produce. It's actually very easy to produce too much content if you're not careful. In fact, I'm a great believer in it's better to have too much and edit than not enough and have to pad things. So pick a product or pick a topic that you want to discuss and list all the things you'd like to discuss about it. And there is a list of content that you can create. And it doesn't have to be done all in one go. You know, you can do it as a series of different connected things. So again, going back to the issue with heat stroke for dogs. So it's identifying it. This is how you know your dog's got it. Now, this is the things to look out for. You know, and tomorrow I'm going to post, you know, the kind of things. And then tomorrow you say, right, once you've identified your dog's got heat stroke, here's the things that, you know, you should carry with you to help them out, or whatever it might be. Same with that search engine optimization. You don't want to talk about loads of things simultaneously, but select one and say, all right, when you're creating content for your business, here are some places you can go to support out. And this is what semantic closeness is. You know, it's about that focus, the focus of your page, and making sure you've got related words, synonyms, related keywords. So when Google reads it, they can get a real sense of what the page is about, present it in searches, you know, very basic SEO there. Once you've got that list, select one of them, okay? So select one thing I'm going to talk about, and then just do a little bit of a brainstorm on the type of content you might want to do. So is that a video? Is it an infographic? Is it a series of photographs? Is it a short article? And again, you can kind of look at the kind of content that you can build about that one idea, and then just get on with it, get creating. So start working, start getting down with it, start kind of just, there's a great quote. I've used it before on the blogging courses that I've done. And I really like this one. It's awful grammar, but it's very relevant here because some people get kind of a little bit of content blind. There was a reporter who was working on an article and was really struggling, and he went up to the editor and he said to the editor, look, seriously, I'm really struggling with this. I just can't get into the rhythm of it. I don't know where to go. And the editor said to him this awfully grammatically incorrect phrase, but he said, get it wrote, then get it right. So what we do is just start doing something, just start writing about anything. And then your best friend is the editor. Because once you've got something out there, you can edit it down, you can change it. And then once you've got a little bit of content, that kind of sparks ideas, particularly as well, if you're working, I know all of us have this, but if you're working in a team of people, you know, run it past them. So ask for their ideas. If you're the person whose responsibility it is to manage the marketing within your organization, which, you know, happens in small, you know, people, you're good on Facebook, you can do the marketing, which is absolutely not the way to do it, to be honest with you. Just because someone who's good at personal Facebook does not mean they know anything about posting on Facebook for business. This is proven to me time and time again when I do courses. But if you are that person, that's fine. That is, you're the gatekeeper of information. You're the person who puts it out there. But don't be afraid to engage with other people. Remember, content marketing is a responsibility of the entirety of the business. So if you're struggling, go to someone and say, I want to write something about this. What would you say? What would you think would be the customer's main issues, pain points, whatever it is? Don't be afraid to talk to other people about it. And even if you're on your own, even if, like me, there's just you, and you are the marketing team, the finance team, customer services team, you know, I mean, I'm everything, all of my hats on at once. I do occasionally just go to my wife, who doesn't understand a word of what I do. She is one of the most digitally reticent people, you know. She loves being on Facebook and playing 10 on her phone. But other than that, she's a complete Luddite when it comes to technology. Doesn't even like PlayStation's, weirdo. But I can just talk to her and she will, you know, okay, she'll just nod and go, does this with me all the time as well. I don't know, she's a special educational needs teacher. I have no idea what she's about, but just sometimes talking to someone, just throwing a few ideas out there helps your brain sort itself out. But I'm going to share slides now just to give you an example of what I mean. So I'm going to go and we'll have a little kind of stretchy legs 5-minute break in a moment, because sitting down for this length of time is not good for you. Right, so on the slide deck here, you should see, and I'm going to be looking away just so, because I've got the slides on the second screen and I can see where my mouse is. So I've chosen an event catering business simply because I did some work for an organization, a catering organization last year. So it's the one that I created for it. So if we do, for instance, one of the products that this organization does is event catering. So they cater for events. So here are the different types of events that you might cater for. So we've got weddings, funerals, corporate events, cultural and religious events, festivals, private functions. So these are kind of the 6 different client groups, if you like. And what you do is once you've identified those different client groups, the different people who are interested in this for different reasons. So, I mean, you know, whether it's with Holly, whether that is whether that's businesses, whether that's housing associations, whether it's factories, whether it's, I say, I don't know who your client base is. I'd imagine it's mainly business to business, whether that's building companies, whether that is, you know, who are doing extensions and discover asbestos. These are the different groups of business you might want to be engaging with. I think Louise said earlier on that there's to general public, but also to organizations. Two very different types of conversations to have there. So what we've got is we've got these 6 different types of business that we might want to engage with. Then just select one of them. And for this example, I've selected corporate events. So if we go, oops, I've got to click on here to make sure it advances. If we go here, what we've got for the corporate events, what types of content might they be interested in? So it could be a case study. Case studies, great bits of content, to be honest with you. It's a demonstration. It's, you know, it's something that worked and something that went right. So it might be a case study. Case studies generally happen, or people respond to them quite low down the sales funnel. So case studies are great for conversion. So kind of those last bits of content that convince people to actually buy from you. One of the simplest and easiest types of content, I'm sure every single one of you, if you don't have an FAQ on your website, you do know the frequently asked questions your customers ask, you know, because they ask them all the flipping time. Because, you know, you hear them, the same questions over and over again. But if you're hearing the same questions over and over again from customers, why not just create a piece of content around your FAQs? You know, because then you're answering questions people are interested in. So when they see it on Facebook or LinkedIn, they go, oh, I wondered what that was about. That's a question I would have asked them. They've answered it. Brilliant, great. Authority, expertise, trust. So FAQ, really quick and dirty type of content to do, to be honest with you. Testimonials, absolutely fantastic for this type of thing, whether those are recommendations on things like LinkedIn or testimonials that we can do. A link to a blog article. So again, corporates, if you're going corporates, you know, that kind of content works a lot better. So it could be a link to a blog. It could be catering for diversity. So again, if we're going to cater for your organization, you know, tell us the requirements. We can cater for gluten-free, lactose-free. We can cater for vegan. We can cater for halal. We can cater for, you know, all of these different, we can make these amendments. So, you know, this is what we do, adding value to you. And then it might even be a behind the scenes video of a previous conference and a previous event you've been catered for, so people can see what it's like. They can see the energy that you're creating. And what we're doing is we're cultivating very, very specific pieces of content that are going to resonate with specific people or specific industries. And we want to be doing that. Specificity is incredibly important. Now, whether that is on your website for search engine optimization, because Google measures the relevance of the page against the search criteria. So if you have a page on your website that talks about 2 things, 2 different things, you're only 50% relevant and you will not appear as high in searches. However, if you've written a page of your website, a blog, or whatever it is that's specifically about one thing, it makes it so much more searchable. And when people find it, it is much more likely to be relevant to them, and they're more likely to take action. Similarly with your search engines, similarly with your social networks, Facebook, 79% of people search for businesses in Facebook. Facebook is the 3rd largest search engine in the world after Google and YouTube. In fact, Facebook is only a couple of percentage points away from beating YouTube to be the 2nd largest search engine in the world. It's already the 2nd most visited site in the world after Google, or in the Western Hemisphere anyway, just in case some bright spark wants to put some Chinese search engine in, which will have a 1/3 of the world's population using it. Fair enough. You win. But in terms of the way we are interacting, so Facebook is incredibly important as far as that's concerned for business to consumer. 79% of people will search businesses in Facebook. If they search it, what Facebook is doing is matching that search against relevant content on its database. Therefore, again, if you start talking about 2 things on Facebook, you're only 50% relevant. If you have 2 things to talk about, that's 2 posts, because then you're highly specific and highly relevant. Does that make sense? I can see enough people to see a couple of nods, and you can always give me a thumbs up or some indication. If it doesn't make sense, go, Michael, that doesn't make sense. Explain it again, because that's kind of what they're paying me to do today. So the more specific your content is, the more tailored and targeted it is to those individuals, the more likely it is to resonate with them, the more likely it is to be relevant, to add value, and they are then more likely to want to take the next step. It's something I call, and this is my completely unscientific method, by the way. This is a completely unscientific method, but I always believe that I talk about posting with purpose. So anytime you post on a social network, anytime you post on a website, anytime you do a direct marketing, pick up the phone, whatever it might be, we are posting with purpose. Now, as far as content marketing is concerned, and content marketing is about saying, come over here, I've got something interesting to say. Outbound marketing, sales marketing, things, you know, pay-per-click advertising, that's more buy my stuff. But content marketing is, come over here, I've got something interesting to say, come here. Come here. It's about giving a bit of a hug, virtual hug, say, hey, you're in a safe place, we're going to help you out here. You do want your customer to do something for you as a result of that. So about 35% of your purpose for posting should be about what you want to get out of that relationship. Is it a share? Is it a click through to a website? Is it you know, someone filling in a form, contact us, downloading a PDF, whatever it is? When you put some posts out there, that you need to understand why you're doing it. Just don't post for no reason. I'm putting this out because here's a fun photograph of what's going on today with me, and that's just going to make people happy because it's a nice fun photograph. Or here's a really essential piece of information about protecting your business from asbestos. That legislation that's just been launched, new legislation about asbestos management in organizations. Your business needs to know this to protect itself and its customers. That's the purpose, is information in that respect. You know, I'm not trying to get any sales out of you here. You need to know this. The purpose is I want you to read this. Or it could be, the purpose is, once you've read this, I want you to click on this link and buy something from me, or at least ask that tell me more question. So some of that purpose should be about what we want out of the transaction. 65% of it, say completely unscientific method in Michael's mind, but 65% of that should be what the customer is going to get out of it. That is how we get people to trust us. That is how we get people to engage with us. So first and foremost, what is the customer getting out of this? What value am I going to add? What relevance is there to them? And secondary to that should be, all right, once I've convinced them that I am trustworthy, that the information I have is valuable, what would I like them to do next? And then don't be afraid to request it. So click on this link, give us a call, visit the website, whatever it is you're wanting them to do. There's no harm in occasionally just putting up a post for a bit of fun. That's your purpose. That's to raise a smile. That is to say, look, here's a beautiful puppy dog. Oh, for instance, that's awesome. But we don't always have to be sell, 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 but there should be a reason why we've put something on that network. And that reason is what we want the customer to do as a result of interacting with our content. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and see Helen happy snapping away. I'm sure there'll be plenty on Twitter. I'll catch up on Twitter later. Okay, so that's halfway through the session. All right, so we're going to have a quick break. So if you can just get up, stretch your legs, 5 minutes. When we get back, I'm going to be talking about some more specific types of content. So I am going to be waxing lyrical again about video content. I'm going to be talking about blogging in particular as well. And I'm going to be talking social proof, which is a very important, it's part of content marketing. I've finished off with some useful tools, which I'll just, they're just slides to show you some of the places you can go to help yourselves out. So we're going to talk video, we're going to talk blogging, we're going to talk social proof, and then we'll be wrapping up. So if you can be back here at 8 minutes past 11, I'm going to switch my camera and my mic off. Please do get up, stretch your legs, walk around, stroke a pet, whatever you're going to do. When I switch my camera and mic back on again, that's say I'm ready to go. You can join us and we can get on with the rest of the session. But do get away from the screen and stretch your legs for a little while. And I will see you in 5 minutes. Oh, good. Thumbs up from Holly. Love it. One of the things I'm very, very sad about, I love Zoom. Zoom has been a big part of my life for the last 15 months. Lou's back as well, lovely. And they recently, the reactions with your thumbs up and everything, thanks Jake, used to be in the participants tab, and they moved it to the reactions tab at the bottom of the page, which is a much more sensible place for it to be, but they removed the most important one. I said this, I know, because this is recorded on the SEO one as well, because I watched it recently, or bits of it recently, is that they removed the cup of tea icon. Why? That was the most important icon in the reactions, is to go, it's cup of tea time. You go, yeah, it's right, we're British, we need a cup of tea icon. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. So we kind of generally look to top, again, this is a very condensed version of a full day course that I do. So we kind of look at some of the fundamentals of content, and particularly about this idea of targeting it, making sure that we're being as specific as we can be with the content we put out there to make it resonate with people. General content generally doesn't do as well as more specific content out there. But there's also specific types of content that do very well and do better. One of those currently is video. Again, anyone who was on the SEO course with me last time, I talked about video in the context of websites and how important it is. And we're going to kind of go back over this. And it is, unfortunately, some people find video very intimidating, don't like it. It doesn't always have to be you in front of the camera. It doesn't have to be you talking. If that is something that you're uncomfortable with, it could be a product demonstration. It could be a tour of a facility. It could be a slideshow of beautiful images. But the bottom line is that social networking platforms prioritize video over any other type of content at the moment. On Facebook, the only content that gets more interest than video is live streaming, which I know a lot of people are not ready for. But video content dominates those networks, and also it is incredibly important for websites as well. So in terms of your content marketing strategy, video content of some description is an important thing to be considering. Otherwise, you are going to get left behind. Really is that simple. A video uploaded directly to Facebook gets 135% more organic reach than any other type of post you can put out there. I say, with the exception of live streaming, which is stupidly, I mean, Facebook pushes that so hard. So social networks are focused on video content, absolutely focused on video content. And by video content, we're talking natively uploaded. So what I mean is you take your video file and you upload it directly to Facebook. You don't send a link from YouTube to Facebook or YouTube to Twitter. The reason for this is that Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter really don't like YouTube, because they're getting fed up, or got fed up, of hosting one of their biggest rivals' content on their own sites. So they deprioritize YouTube videos, particularly Twitter, which make your YouTube video look awful, absolutely awful. So we don't want, YouTube is phenomenal for another reason. We'll come to that in a moment. I don't actually, when I'm doing social media training now, I don't even include YouTube. YouTube is irrelevant now as far as social networks are concerned. For your own content, it should be directly on that platform to get that reach. But it is really important in that respect. So natively uploaded, and I will include another video as well. So I've got native versus linked video tutorial as well, which I'll add to the list of things I put out to Helen this afternoon, once I've had to stretch my legs and have my dinner, or have my lunch. So you can get a real sense of what that means. But video does stand out in a crowded social media feed. It always comes up this big, so it takes up the entirety of the feed. If it's native, it does this, and it's the biggest thing on the screen. It also, which is something that was mentioned, I think, by Holly when we were doing what kind of content you like to talk about, animated stuffs. It moves. The second you scroll past it, the video starts playing. And there are three things that trigger human beings to notice anything. That is something that is highly contrasting. So if something contrasts, we notice it. So again, if what we've seen is lots of static images, what we've seen is lots of normal statuses, and suddenly a big old video comes up, it's contrasting, we notice it. Also, we notice the biggest thing as well. And video, or native video on those platforms, is always the biggest thing on the screen. They give it a lot of space. And finally, movement. So we're triggered by things that are contrasting, things that are big, things that are moving. And native video on social media platforms gives you those three things instantaneously. So it's more likely to stand out to someone in a crowded social media feed than a static piece of content or just some text, which we should avoid like the plague on social networks. That's a way of being ignored entirely. So social networks really focus on video, and it is a great way of standing out. More people engage with video. People do love video. There is a statistic Viewers retain 95% of the message when they watch it in a video compared to 10% when reading it in text. So again, if you have a message to get across to our customers, video is by far and away the best way to do it. And there's strong evidence to suggest that by the end of next year, so by the end of 2022, 82% of all internet content will be video of some description. You know, that's Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Facebook, etc. So video is a very important thing for us to get behind and understand and use in our communication with our customers. Just some kind of ideas of the types of video you might be able to do. So it could be video while you work. So, you know, if you've got something that's very manual, you've got something that is very demonstrative, you can pop a camera up and you can be working away at it. I mean, one of my favorite is that she hasn't done a lot for a while, so I think she might have had a rough lockdown, but there was an artist I met through Winter, Alice, and she live streamed every Saturday evening for 2 hours, 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock. Never saw her face. The camera was on a stand above the canvas she was working on, and she'd be painting and drawing, live streaming that every 2 hours, every Saturday night. And people would then pop questions into chat and she would answer them, saying, "Now, why are you using those particular pens? What paper are you using?" And she'd be going, "All right, thank you for your thanks for your question. This is why I'm using this pen, because it's safe." And you know, it was while she was working. She was getting stuff done, so she was working, but also it was demonstrating her expertise very fundamentally. Product demonstrations, if you've got a physical product that you're going to do, that's great as well. Or again, if you're providing training or support, you can do short introductory videos or short training videos that, you know, will show people what working with you is like. That's the reason my YouTube channel exists. My YouTube channel for my business is not there to get thousands and thousands of views. It's there as proof of concept. So when an organization comes to me or I go to them and say, "I'd like to work with you," I can send them to my YouTube channel. They get a sense of what my delivery style is like, get a sense of my expertise and my understanding. So, you know, product demonstrations can be physical things, but it can also be us demonstrating our knowledge, our experience and our expertise. Top tips, great. Customer testimonials, if you can get video testimonials from customers, they are absolutely priceless. Blogs, which are blogs being converted into video. Case studies, if you can get a video case study, that's brilliant. And essentially anything you can write down, you can probably turn into a video, to be honest with you. I'm not saying that every single thing you do should be a video, but video should be part of the overall strategy that you have to connect across digital media at the moment. You don't need a lot of expensive equipment for it. I mean, I've done a vlogging, blogging and podcasting session with Ambition Broxbourne previously or before, which goes a little bit more into some of the equipment, but here's probably a piece of equipment that's really good. Mobile phone. Lighting, yeah, you can buy some lights. They can cost you 10 or 15 quid, but actually you can just make sure you're in a well-lit room and that you're facing the strongest light source. You can use it, or get a little microphone. Mics are quite important, actually. You want your sound quality to be good. All of my tutorials are recorded for my YouTube channel, and what I put up on social networks, particularly LinkedIn. I'm doing one this afternoon, actually. I record via Zoom, because I can screen share. So I hit the record button on Zoom, I screen share, and I do tutorials based on, I click here, do this, do that, and I can just shove them straight up, you know, edit them slightly and pop them onto LinkedIn, onto my YouTube channel. So you don't need huge amounts of expensive equipment to be able to do compelling video. Most of the information on most of the capabilities in your hands, and again, there are free pieces of editing software out there you can use as well. So do consider video, and I've got some statistics to back this up in terms of social networks, and then we'll talk about websites as well. So LinkedIn users spend 3 times more time watching video than normal static content. So if your principal people, you know, principal clients are on LinkedIn, which is the case for me, and I would imagine would be the case for Holly, people spend three times more time watching videos than static content. LinkedIn videos are shared 20 times more than any other type of content. So that's some LinkedIn statistics. Tweets with video get 10 times more engagement, and they're also 6 times more likely to be retweeted. And 90% of people say that video is helpful when making decisions in that kind of decision-making process. So this is why video is important. I said in Facebook video, 135% increase in organic reach for a native video on there. So the statistics are out there, and it is because, and the thing about video is that everyone is comfortable with video. You know, bottom line is we've been watching video for about 150 years. You know, since we first got films. You know, my mum, who's 83, used to go to the cinema to catch up on news during the Second World War. She lived in Plymouth before Plymouth was absolutely obliterated by the Luftwaffe. They would go to cinemas. You know, we're used to getting our entertainment and our news through video means. So it was cinema, then it was television, and now it's online. So my mum has got a smart telly, will watch BBC iPlayer on a smart telly. She's using a video on demand service. That's not the way she looks at it. She's just watching the telly. But we are very, very familiar and comfortable with video across, cross-generationally. Although young people do engage with it far more than other groups. Much as I hate to label the millennials, because millennials are 40 now, video is a very, very important medium to connect with people who are of that ilk and that generation and younger, but still very important for a Gen Xer like me. Not a boomer, a Gen Xer. But video and websites, again, is important. Just keep an eye on the time. Perfect. Okay, so when you're applying video to a website, video on a landing page. So those of you who don't know, the landing page is the first page of the website people visit. So that could be a home page because you've given someone a business card and they've typed the URL in, or it could be because your search engine optimization with the help of Charlie and his team is so awesome that all of your pages are number one of Google and they click on it. It's the first page someone visits of your website. Video on a landing page can increase sales conversion by over 80%. So if someone lands on a page that's about one of your products or one of your services, a little video there that kind of explains it. And again, like Helen said earlier, short videos, they don't need to be, a minute and a half. Now, if you can say all you need to say in 15 seconds, have a 15-second video. That's absolutely fine. Ideal for social networks. Facebook, generally about 3 minutes is the charm. But for your website, it might be that it's just, thank you for visiting the page. Here's a little rundown of the services that we can offer, talk about the specific things that are on the page. And it can increase sales conversion because people buy into it and it's much easier than reading. Text we need because text is what search engines engage with to understand what a page is about. We definitely need to be engaging with text, but people read 25% slower on a screen than they do on the printed page, which is why when we see a massive block of text in a book, we go, fine, and we read it. But when we see a massive block of text on a screen, we go, can't be bothered. And even if you've got a beautifully set out, like I said in the SEO course, a subtitle with a short paragraph, subtitle, short paragraph to give people a nice kind of flow through your content. If there's a video there for them to watch, they're going to watch the video rather than read the text because it's so much easier to engage. I think, oh, brilliant, click. So it does help sales conversions, and people spend 88% more time on websites that contain video content as well. Now, that's not to say that every single page of your website needs to have video on it, but it's a good idea to have it on those pages of identified for search, those ones that talk specifically about your products and services, and a video on the home page is quite nice as well, because they're the ones that people are most likely to visit first. But think about this. Critically, though, on social networks, that video is uploaded directly to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. For your website, you need to be streaming that from YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, for instance. So you want a link that goes onto your page. Never, ever upload video directly to your website. It will make the page slow. And page speed is one of the principal things that, or one of the things that search engines look for, particularly Google, around search engine optimization. If you've got a really, really slow page, it's not going to rank as highly as one that loads nice and quickly. So a link from YouTube, perfect, because that's not on your page. It's just a piece of code that sits on the page and sucks the video from YouTube onto the page, won't slow it down, won't be problematic. That can be YouTube, it can be Vimeo, it can be fed in from anywhere. Google does not prioritize YouTube videos on websites. They treat all links from external sites agnostically. And I must say, I subscribed to this view for a little while until I was corrected that actually I used to think that YouTube was a good way of getting a little bit of extra brownie points from Google in terms of your SEO, but it isn't. However, videos do help search engine optimization because Google is able to follow the link back to the video, and they're able to gather additional information from the video, add it to their understanding of the page, so it can lift your, can lift your SEO, but also from a customer perspective, much more engaging. So video needs to be a part of your strategy. Say not everything has to be video content. That would be so onerous, but try to get video out on a regular basis if you can, whether that's one a week or one a month. It does have an impact. It is going to be viewed more times. Every time I put a video up on LinkedIn in particular, I get 3 to 4 times as much interaction on a video as I do from any other post that I put up, without a shadow of a doubt. I use Facebook as well for my business. Facebook isn't necessarily where my clients aren't on Facebook. I have a Facebook page because I'm a social media trainer and need to practice with it. But similarly, if I put a video on my Facebook page, it will get more interaction than any other type of content I put on my Facebook page, despite the fact that that's not really where my client base is. So it is an important thing to be thinking about. So I say, perhaps I can give Helen a bit of a where is she? She's that way as far as I'm concerned. She's right next to me. Bit of a nudge, and we could do another vlogging, blogging, and podcasting session because those ones have gone down quite well. Just saying. There you go. Just saying. Because they book me every month, bless their little hearts. So we can find space. So I'm not going to go on any more about video because this isn't this session about video. This is about content marketing, but it is a critical element of your content marketing, your digital marketing strategy is video. Also video from places like YouTube and Vimeo and stuff like that. Links work really well in email marketing campaigns. Trying to remember the stat, but emails with video in the title get a 14% increase open rate. And they're shared 20 times more by people as well because video content is so compelling. But on an email, that does need to be streaming from somewhere like Vimeo, YouTube, for instance, because it means that you're less likely to hit a spam filter because you have a huge file size. And people are not going to have to wait around for it to load. Okay, next. So the next thing to have a little chat about, another type of really important content is blogs. So blogging should be a part of your website. Oh, sorry, I just noticed I got something in chat. So I've got from Helen, if you host your videos on YouTube, how do you get people to know that if you post them natively all the time? So YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. If it's on YouTube, you're basically introducing your content to potentially a huge market. So what we do to get our YouTube videos noticed on YouTube is firstly to make sure SEO is really good. Our search engine optimization is good. And to be honest with you, there isn't much more you can do than that with YouTube at the moment, because promoting links on social networks, Facebook deliberately will undervalue any post that has an external link on it, because Facebook want to keep you on their page. So in the days where you quite happily put, here's a post, follow the link, you should not be doing that as a matter of course anymore, because Facebook deprioritize it. Again, Twitter makes YouTube videos look awful, and Facebook and LinkedIn just show a static thumbnail. So again, they're not as compelling. So really the way we can do that is think of YouTube rather than as a means to reach our customers, which can happen if we've got good SEO on our videos. It's more as a means to get compelling content onto things like our websites and into our email marketing. It is no longer the platform it was, YouTube. It's still a great place to be, and I would encourage you to be using YouTube again for your website and your email campaign, and just for a presence. And you never know when things might blow up. What I do with my I would email people stuff. So for instance, the tutorials I put onto YouTube are not designed to have a million searches, a million views. They're designed to help people. So what I will do is I'll create the tutorial and I'll use it, as I will do this afternoon, for an email. So people can visit it and they can do it. The bottom line is you're not going to make £1 million on YouTube anymore. It's virtually impossible. You need 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 people liking your page before you can even put an advert on. And then you're not making much money unless you're getting hundreds of thousands of views on 5 videos every month. So don't necessarily think about YouTube as a means for people to find your business. They might do. What you do is YouTube as a means to generate compelling content that can be shared effectively across websites, email marketing campaigns. It's a difficult thing to engage with now. Sometimes things blow up. I've got a video on my YouTube channel, my business YouTube channel at the moment, that is close to 30,000 views. It blew up after Christmas, and it's got so much attention. Most of the other ones I've got are 50 to 100 views. Some have gone a little bit higher than that. This one just blew up. I've had people emailing me from Canada. 2 people from Canada independently in a week emailed me about that thing, saying, "Can you help? I'm trying this out." And I was like, "All right, fine." But ultimately, do I want that? Do I want 1,000 people contact me on back of a viral video? Bottom line is no. It's become a bit of a pain because I try to respond to every single comment I get on there, and now it's taken up more time than I want. So again, think tactically about that. What is the purpose of me putting something onto YouTube? It's probably not about you going viral, because firstly, that's unlikely to happen. And secondly, just getting any kind of reach on YouTube is difficult. What we do is we consistently post content which people might find and engage with, but our focus should be using that content to engage with either new customers through email marketing or our website. That's kind of where we should be thinking. Don't think grand plans on YouTube. It is much more difficult to do that now than it used to be, quite deliberately, and it's caused an awful lot of disquiet in the YouTube community, particularly those people who made a living using YouTube have abandoned it for more favorable and friendly sites like Patreon and Twitch. But that's for another conversation. But hopefully that very long-winded ramble answered your question, Helen. So I never say one word when 12 and a half of them will do. So blogging. You should be blogging as regularly as possible on your website, at least once a month if you can. Back in 2016, Google changed its algorithm, and it changed it twice, once in February, once in March. One of them was around mobile friendly. So from 2016, if you didn't have a mobile friendly website, it would affect your ranking. So please do check your website's mobile friendly. Most of them are automatically these days anyway. But also they said, look, we like vibrant, up-to-date websites. We like websites that change on a regular basis. If you haven't done anything on your website for 6 months, doesn't matter how gorgeous it looks, it will be kind of like disappearing down the rankings because Google are going to go bored now. But Google kind of recognized the fact that updating a product page is not easy to do on a regular basis because your products probably don't change very much. So they said, okay, tell you what, pop a little blog on the website, update it once a month, more if you can, and that is an indication to us that your website is vibrant, that you are engaging with your customers, that you are sharing your expertise, your talents, your ability with people, rather than just sitting there hoping that they hit your website and seeing your website as just this passive thing that sits there that people will find and pay you on. They want that interactivity. So blogging is really important in terms of maintaining the health of your website. So it should be something that we are doing at least once a month, and a blog should be around about 700 to 1,000 words once a month about something you care about, about something you're passionate about. And the great thing about blogs is when we're talking about that laser targeting, that really focusing down on what people, specific groups of people, absolutely ideal for that. Because the more specific it is, the more focused it is, actually the more relevant it is. And therefore, it's easier for Google to say, here's a piece of relevant content and pop it up. In fact, your blogs are likely ultimately to have a better ranking than your normal pages because they can be hyper-specific to particular things that people are looking for. So blogging is a great way of demonstrating your expertise, your authority, and building trust, going back to the EAT with Google and my 5 pillars of great content. Just some quick statistics. Blogs can result in a 434% increase in indexed pages. So that's these pages of your website that Google actually understands and knows is there. And a 97% increase in indexed links. Google follows links to understand the internet. It goes on a page and sees a link, it follows that link and goes to another link. And eventually, by following all of those links, the spiders, which are what they call the algorithms, can map a big part of the internet and understand what all these pages are. So you want the links on your page to be recognized by Google because that's what they follow to find different pages. And again, having a blog you've written that follows back to a particular page of your website that's relevant to, and that page linking to the blog, is a great way of Google finding, discovering, understanding more about your content. Businesses that blog get 55% more website visitors than businesses that don't. So again, if we want website visitors, if we want people going, blogging is a very important way of doing it. And again, 70% of people would rather learn about a company through an article rather than an advert. Because an advert's a little bit in your face, buy my stuff. Whereas if you provide an article that adds value, that is useful, that is educational, informative, entertaining, people are more likely to engage with that than anything you can kind of spew at them in terms of buy my stuff. So they are important in terms of your interaction with your customer and your interaction with search engines like Google. In terms of blogging, again, it's a case of going back to what we talked about earlier, where you kind of think, well, what product specifically or what topic do I want to talk about? And then you can create, you list your stuff, you pick one of those, and you can create a little piece of written content around it. So, that's what we can do. I'd say we're looking at about 700 to 1,000 words. If you're not a typer, do you know what? This is what, because I'm not a typer, my typing is awful, and as is my spelling. I'm a left-handed dyslexic. But I dictate into my phone. I'll open up my phone, I'll hit the, open up a Word document on my phone. I'll hit the voice recognition button, the little microphone, and I'll wander around the house and I'll dictate a blog into my phone, which is on that Word document. Then once I've done that, I'll sit down on my laptop, open up the Word document, because I'm all on the cloud on OneDrive. I can then get that Word document onto my laptop. I can run it through Grammarly. I can start, segmenting it properly, doing a little bit of editing. Great thing is Google knows how to spell. I don't, so I can use really complicated words I wouldn't normally be able to spell, and Google will get them right. And then I've got a piece of writing. I'm using technology to assist me. So, it will take me, a 700 to 1,000 word blog might take me 45 minutes to an hour to actually put together. And for once a month, maybe twice a month, more if you can, that is something that isn't massively difficult. If you're someone who can type 60 words a minute, perfect, get away and start typing. But do think about that, okay? They're brilliant for creating that really highly focused content, okay? But one of my favorite things, and this is a phrase that I have originated, so if you use it, you have to give me a $5 because it's mine, copyright, is doing a Dickens. Charles Dickens, the author, which I'm sure if you've never read any of his stuff, because to be honest with you, I've only ever read one of his books because I find them really difficult and boring. But anyway, Charles Dickens didn't write books to begin with. He serialized his novels in the Times newspaper. So he'd write a chapter a month, a chapter a week or something, and people would buy the Times newspaper with the intention of reading the next bit of Nicholas Nickleby, Christmas Carol, Oliver Twist, whatever it might be. And then they were put together in novels and sold as a consequence of that. But the majority, and he used to tour the country reading his books to people. It was kind of, people would come to him in theatres and he'd hear them read. So once you've written your blog, once you've written your story, do a Dickens on it, carve it up into little bits and pieces. So you've got that central piece of good writing that sits on the website, and then use that as a focus for your content marketing for the week. So, it might be that you've written the blog, so you do a vlog of the blog. So you've got the blog written and you will record a vlog, which is a video log. Blog is web log. That's where log comes from, web log. Vlog comes from video log, vlog, vlog. So use the blog to either do a full video that talks about the entirety of the blog, or a summary of it. So you can plop that on your website. We know that video is really good for your SEO and people on your website. So they're on the blog, they can see that big bit of text and going, do you know what? I read 25% slower on the internet. Oh, subconsciously, they'll be doing that. I can click on the video and watch the blog. So your blog can actually create video content, or it can be the inspiration for a series of short, minute and a half, 2 minute, 3 minute videos that are on the subject. So I wrote a blog recently. Here are some of the key points, and you can feed some videos into your Facebook page or into your LinkedIn account over a period of a week. Now, it could be used on something like Canva, which is a basic, a nice online visual design tool. You can take some quotes from it. You can use Canva to make a nice image with a quote on it that you can put onto Facebook. Here's a quote from my latest blog, or on LinkedIn. Here's a quote from the latest blog. Here's a link. Follow it. You don't want to do links for Facebook, unfortunately. And most importantly, they are a real testament to your experience and your capability and your skill. Because you have to sit down and think and write, about something that you are passionate about, something you care about, something you are knowledgeable about. And it is a really phenomenal way of not only adding value to that website and improving visibility for your website, but also having a kind of a content hub, if you like. Your blog could be the content hub for a week's worth of social media content. that you can just carve it up and be inspired by. It's great for conversation. You go to a networking event and you can think, well, I got that blog the other day, I'm going to talk about something, I'm going to use that blog as my talking point at a networking event, for instance. So they are really critical things to be involved with and get going, simply mainly because of the benefits they have to your website, but also because, again, from a content perspective, just carve them up to little pieces and have that as your focus for a week. And it'll save you having to do, you just, oh my God, I've got to create all of this content. No, you don't. Find a central theme to think about for a week and focus on that. If it's just you, don't try to talk about 12 things at once. Pick one of those groups of people, one of those products, one of those benefits, one of those bits of value that your product or your service provides, and use that to inform your content for a week or a couple of days or whatever you want to do. Don't try to market 12 different things simultaneously, because that will drive you to distraction and you'll have no hair like me. Use that blog as a means to produce focused content for a week, perhaps, and then the following week focus on something else, and the week after that focus on something else, because we continue to provide valuable and useful information. It's going to be relevant, it's going to be useful, it's going to be beneficial, and that's how we get that kind of engagement. I say that central hub of a blog is one of the ways to kind of inspire the kind of content for say for a period of time. So that would be my recommendations as far as blogging is concerned. Another important piece of important piece of type of content, video and blogging, very important things to kind of bear in mind to be doing. So yeah, so what I wanted to share with you just in the last little moment, so I'm going to share this slide with you. Just again, some of the research I've done around our current situation, a slide that hopefully I won't need to worry too much about in 5 or 6 months' time, but just so you've got a view of this. So during and post COVID-19, so we're obviously still sitting in the COVID-19 bubble at the moment. Hopefully, again, got about 6 weeks maximum before we're on the other side of it. So my son's 18, he's had his first vaccination, so the vaccination and me and my wife are completely done. Make honesty and authenticity the focus of your content. Okay, people are much more suspicious of social media content now. It's had a bad patch, social media, in terms of we've had this rise of alternate facts and just outright manipulation of social media by people in various positions of power. So people are craving honesty and authenticity. In fact, authenticity, as far as social media is concerned as a term, is in great danger of becoming something put in inverted quotes, going, are we being authentic? So social media, they're not looking for the big sales pitch. They're looking for honesty, they're looking for integrity, they're looking for that expertise, authority, building that trust. So honesty and authenticity should be kind of the focus of your content right now. It's more believable, it's more relatable at the moment. Understand what your customer is getting from your content. So what are we doing in terms of that? Content begins with your customer and finishes with you. It starts with what benefits them, and then ultimately that 35% is what you want to do next. And it's about social, it's not about sales. Doesn't mean to say we can't sell, but before we can sell to people, they have to trust us enough to buy from us. So if you have a Facebook page or a Twitter account or a LinkedIn profile that has that honesty and authenticity, that integrity to it, and we built trust with a large number of people, and we do put something out that's a little bit more buy my stuff, we've earned the right to do so. And either the people who trust us will respond to that by contacting us and buying from us, or they're confident enough to share it with other people. They hit that share button and it goes out to the world, and their friends see it and they go, actually, my friend has shared that. I trust my friend more than that company. If my friends recommended it, it must be worth looking at. So part of content marketing is actually earning the right to be more overtly sales focused, because we provided that information that demonstrates our integrity and demonstrates our value to the people that we're trying to engage with. Another thing about COVID as well, it is a good idea as at the moment around about, so I'm remembering the statistic from a post a couple of months ago, 26% of people are now looking at people's COVID policies, organizations' COVID policies, as part of their research before they engage with them. So obviously what we want to be doing at the moment is to be providing people with reassurance that if they are interacting with us, we're protecting them, we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting our staff. If you have a Google My Business page, for instance, which I would definitely encourage, if you have bricks and mortar place people go to, or you cover a specific area, Google My Business is a phenomenal way of getting yourself in front of people. They actually have a page that's about COVID-19 updates. So if you are someone who covers a specific area, or someone who has a location people come to, Google My Business takes about 20 minutes to set up. And I would absolutely encourage you to have a Google My Business page. If you're a national organization that is trying to communicate across, it's absolutely pointless, because Google My Business is about local businesses. But, you know, for Ambition Broxbourne, for Louise, if you're doing physical courses, you know, I don't know about Charlie and Holly, whether you are, you know, whether you are communicating with people across the country or whether it's specifically in areas. If you have a specific area patch that you cover, or a venue that people come to, Google My Business is great. And they do actually have specifically now a tab saying COVID-19, you click on, you put, you know, the PPE you were using. I've even got that on my website now, despite the fact that I'm doing mainly online meetings. On my website, I have added, you know, COVID-19 measures. So remote courses, the fact that I use PPE, if I use a visor, I'm training face-to-face, because I do get a little bit of face-to-face training there. Google My Business, if you're an online business only, it's probably not going to add value. Seriously, Google My Business is for local. So if you are online covering the entirety of the country, Google My Business is probably not going to be a great place for you to be, because it's basically geared for the people who are doing near me searches. So actually, if you're a national business, if you're online only and covering the whole, if you're online only and covering just Broxbourne, Google My Business, that's fine, because you're a specific area. But if you're national, that really is not going to add any value to you at all, because it is really very much based on promoting and supporting local businesses. Something that Facebook is doing at the moment as well, by the way. One of the changes Facebook put in on the 31st of March on business pages is that they are actually really focused on local. So if you're a local business with a Facebook presence, you are likely to be showing up in local searches on Facebook. And the other thing they changed was about hashtags. Facebook are putting much more attention on hashtags now, but they don't want too many of them. In fact, 2, maximum 4 hashtags in a Facebook post. But if you are a local business covering a local area, make sure at least one of your hashtags is your local area, because Facebook has got this sense that Google did ages ago. They're a very local oriented organization, actually. Despite the fact that there's massive global entity, they've been very much obsessed on providing local services, hence Google My Business. Facebook have kind of got that in their mindset as well. So if you're a local business with a Facebook page, when you put hashtags on your Facebook post, say no more than 4 of them. Weirdly, the more hashtags you put on Facebook, the less reach you get. But 2, 4 maximum, one of which is talking about your local area, is going to hashtag Broxbourne, for instance, is going to give you an additional presence, local presence on Facebook. So they've got this sense that they do actually want to engage directly with local organizations, local businesses. Facebook have actually, they've done a lot of things to make it more difficult for businesses to engage with their business pages, but they have also done a load of stuff that is going to benefit small businesses and local businesses, particularly around advertising. They're restricting the amount of advertising larger organizations can have, so there's more bandwidth for small businesses. So as much as I don't like to suggest small businesses spend money, actually Facebook advertising is very powerful, it is very good, and currently for small businesses you are going to get a reasonable amount of reach if you choose to advertise on Facebook. Not all of the changes they've done are particularly pleasant for small businesses, but actually there's a few things in there, particularly this local element, which is going to be very beneficial. Awesome, just going to stop sharing there for a second. Okay, so, clicking on wrong buttons all over the place here. Let's see what we've got. Awesome. Okay, so I want to touch on social proof. Okay, so social proof is it's been around forever. It's not something specific to digital marketing. Social proof is word of mouth, essentially, that people will trust what other people say about you more than more than the stuff you say about yourself, because obviously you're going to promote yourself. Only about 30% of people will trust an advert, but 74% of people will trust a recommendation from a stranger, such as a review, a testimonial, a case study, etc. And I think 92% of us trust recommendations from friends. So again, shares on social networks, word of mouth, those kinds of things are very important. So in terms of social proof and your content, here are some types of content that are very good and very indicative of social proof. So collaborations. So if you collaborate with someone else, so there's someone else you can kind of be interviewed by, or someone who's prepared to share your content on their social media platform, you will get trust by association. So if you collaborate with someone else, the people who already trust them will be more likely to trust you because you're associated. Someone they trust has actually allowed you on their platform, and similarly reciprocal. You know, if you've got an engaged group of people, a collaboration with someone else is going to help them. So collaborations can help. Testimonials, reviews, recommendations, case studies, always good types of content because they're talking about real things that have happened to real people. Likes, shares, and comments are also part of your social proof. A Facebook post that's got 1,000 likes is more likely to be clicked on than a Facebook post that's got 10 likes by the people who are viewing it. So likes, comments, and shares are part of your social proof as well. So we want content that people care about, but critically, never ask for likes, never ask for shares in your posts. Facebook will start down scoring any type of post that is saying, hey, please like it or please share it. No, they want people to like it and share it because it's worth liking and worth sharing. So don't ask for shares, don't ask for likes on your posts. Facebook don't like it. But good quality content that people are engaging with is a form of social proof. Milestones, so such as, we've been trading for 10 years. I had a fantastic post last year. June last year was my 10th anniversary of working in business advice. And I put a post up celebrating it, saying, hey, 10 years, fantastic. I can't believe it's had such a change in my life. I love every second of it. I'm so privileged and thankful that I'm working, blah, blah, because I absolutely adore what I do. And I went through a period of time before, that I was doing jobs that I hated, which was not good for me. So I celebrated that milestone. One of the most explosive posts I've ever put out there. I got so much interaction from people who'd never interacted with me before, or people who hadn't interacted for years, saying, oh yeah, I remember coming to courses, oh, so good, blah, blah, blah. Milestones, if you've done something for 10 years, it's a reasonable indication that you're good at it. So if it's a year anniversary, a 5-year, or a 10-year, celebrate milestones like that, or you've completed a project, and it's phenomenal. Qualifications and certifications as well. So if you get qualifications or certifications, share those because it proves that you've trained and someone has recognized your expertise by awarding you a certificate. And then if you have staff members, obviously in a lot of cases you don't, but if you have staff members, authenticity, people do trust content that is generated by staff members. It's one of the reasons that I work with Group 1 Automotive, who are the showrooms for Audi, Jaguar, Ford, Skoda, VW, people like that, is that I train their staff members on creating content for their showrooms to create a kind of a local, more authentic feel. Because people will trust that kind of content more than any multi-million-pound marketing campaign that they can put out there. So I mean, Group 1 have recognised that, very brave of them to actually hand some of their content over to their staff members. But content from staff members is something that is very valuable as well and can add to people's appreciation of your content, but also trust you more, because it's not what you've said, it's what other people have said. So there are elements of that you should get into, and there are some statistics on an infographic on the slide that you can have a little look at when I send them out to Helen later this afternoon. So I've got the next slide is some useful tools to use. I'm not going to go on about that particularly. You can look at it and you can use them. So that's not something I'm going to. And I've also put, and I'll give you a quick share of this, and I will share the Excel spreadsheet with you. That will come with the email from Helen, but I put a little kind of basic content creation calendar on there as well. Use it or not, but something to help you organize and structure some of your content. It's something I introduce and the one-to-ones. And by the way, just to plug those, one-to-ones are available. I do those 1 day a week, 1 day a month. Sorry, I do one-to-ones with people in Ambition Broxbourne's remit. So we will, if you have any of those, the next one is next month. But as a wrap up, and then I've got one more thing to say, because we want to talk about Shop Appy, which is a partnership that Ambition Broxbourne have with Shop Appy at the moment, which is a great way of getting your products and your services online. To wrap up, as far as I'm concerned, focus on what your customers want to hear. Okay, in terms of your content, it's about them. It's not about you, it's about them. So what do they want to hear? What is interesting and valuable to them that you can share? Get to the point, stick to the point, and then shut up. So I'm here to talk about this. I've talked about it. This is what I'd like you to do. Don't sacrifice clarity for cleverness. You want to be clear, because people on average spend around about 11 minutes a day on Facebook, which for some of us might seem, really, I'm there for hours. But on average, you've got about 11, 12 minutes of people on Facebook. As a result, people don't want to spend 12 minutes reading one post. They want stuff that's snappy and engaging. So get to the point, stick to the point, wrap it all up, and then make sure it's nice and clear and concise. People know what you're saying, what you're doing. Don't try to be clever with it. That's just going to obscure things. And don't forget to send people somewhere. So once that's that purpose. So what is the purpose of the post? Once they've seen the post, what do you want them to do next? It might be to hit the share button, might be just to put a smile on their face, but it might be to click on a link, go to the website, do whatever it is to make a purchase. Awesome. So final top tips, and then we will have a quick chat about Shop Appy, and then we will be done for the day. Bang on time. So differentiate your audience. So understand who they are, what their requirements are. Use the platforms that they are using. So don't try to engage with me on Instagram. Add links to drive people to your website. Not so much on Facebook now, unfortunately, but if you've got lots of really good Facebook-centric content, and occasionally you slip in a post that's got a link to your website, that is going to be absolutely fine. Plan time for this. Marketing is important. No one will buy from you if they don't know you exist. So marketing should be part of your weekly time plan. So plan time to create content and get it out there. And do create content on purpose. Don't just get out there and shove nonsense around. Get out there and have a reason for it. Because again, the better your content is, the more likely people are going to be engaging with you. Okay, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Shop Appy. I don't know whether Helen might be able to chime in at some point. I need to get my video A game on, I think. Absolutely, Holly. No, it's pretty. Hey, everyone looks better on video, to be honest with you. It's great. I don't shave anymore. It's fantastic. I've got a pair of tracksuit bottoms and some slippers on. It's fantastic. It is Jade, yes, for Shop Appy. So I'm just going to share a slide with you to give you some ideas. So there's quite a lot of text on here, but you'll have the slides anyway. And then I'm going to share some links in the chat so you can find out more about it. So Shop Appy is a website where organizations can actually promote their products. So if you're a retail website or a service website, you can go and apply to be on Shop Appy. And it's a way of creating an e-commerce site, if you like, without the headache of creating an e-commerce site. And it's a site that people will be visiting, very much like they visit eBay and Etsy and stuff like that, which is very much tailored to your local area. And I think it's already got a number of businesses. I just need to expand that so I can see the slides already in Broxbourne on their platform. It is in partnership with Ambition Broxbourne, so do check it out. I am going to share, I just need to get to a different part of my screen, the links so you can find out more information about it, because I can't grab it from that space. I'm going to have to grab it from here. Where are we? Lovely. So I've got some links that you should be able to click on in the chat, hopefully. If not, I will also include them anyway with the other video. Are these linked? They are not. That's a shame. Okay, I'll add those links to the email that I'll get Helen to circulate. But this is a really good way. I mean, shopping online, firstly, is very COVID friendly, but more people are moving towards it. So if you want to promote your services or your products, Shop Appy is a fantastic place to be. I say it's in partnership with Broxbourne Council, so it's got their kind of rubber stamp of approval, and it's going to help the borough of Broxbourne have a much bigger presence rather than just, the lovely locations that you're in and your shops and your businesses, it gives you a central platform that you can really promote your business, promote your products, and get people to buy from you. People can browse, they can book through you. So again, if you're booking onto courses, for instance, you can have oh gosh, brain, come on, Michael, words. You're supposed to be good at words. This is what you do for a living. You can have your appointment booking system on there as well. So it's not just for retail, it's for anyone who's got any kind of services. So it can be very, very valuable, very, very supportive. And again, gets you an online e-commerce problem. So Shop Happy is currently funded to the end of 2021. So there is a time constraint to you getting on here. So I take it registration is not going to cost people anything currently? No. So definitely worth being, if you're looking for a good e-commerce platform or a place to really promote your business that is locally focused. And although Shop Happy is a national business, it does very much focus on local businesses. So people within Broxbourne and the surrounding areas are going to find you. If you're in the borough of Broxbourne, so if you guys, which I think you all are, if you're in the borough of Broxbourne, it is not all of you, some of you are, it is currently funded, but it is worth looking into, and I'll provide some additional links and some additional places for you to go and additional information to find on the email that I get circulated by Helen this afternoon. Even if you're not in the borough of Broxbourne, it is worth having a look if you're not in the position to get a kind of a really good digital presence yourself. It's really good. I had a chat with Jade, who runs it. She's really lovely, or one of the people who's engaged with it. Really lovely, and they are. This is about helping you guys out rather than just furthering their own agenda. It seems to be an organisation that genuinely wants to help small businesses. Okay, just going to stop sharing there now.
Project slightly.
Please, Jade. Absolutely.
So with the Shop Happy platform as well, it's completely commission free. So they don't take a percentage at all from any sales. The only thing you have to consider is the 2% Visa charge. The platform's also sponsored by Visa. So I just thought I'd let everyone know that as well. We've also worked on creating a promotional video just to kind of make it a bit more self-explanatory of how the platform works. So that was released on our Facebook and Instagram pages. If you want to follow, I'll put it in the chat, Ambition Broxbourne. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So I'll put that in now, and you can give the video a little follow as well, a little watch.
Excellent. And if there's a link, I can pop that video link in as well. We obviously want go and follow those lovely Facebook pages as well. As I say, Ambition Broxbourne, it's a great organisation. I'm not just saying this because they're paying the bills today. They are absolutely invested in supporting small business in their area, and it's a wonderful opportunity. And thanks for that, Jade, just to clarify that a little bit. So it is just gone 12 o'clock. If you have any questions, I'm quite happy to hang around for another few moments and answer any questions. But otherwise, officially, thank you all very much for attending this session today. I hope it has been useful and informative. And it just remains for me to say, enjoy the rest of your day. Any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to hang around for a little bit longer. Otherwise, you're willing to hit that end button and enjoy the rest of what hopefully is going to be a beautiful afternoon for you. Thank you all very much and have a great day.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Michael. Cheers.
No
Bye.
problem. Thank you. Right.